Okay, so I know the channel is supposed to be about speaker building, but we do need to talk about a couple of things that I learned the hard way. Enter the receiver in the background there. If you're picking out your components, you do need to make sure that you're getting quality components, because if you got garbage going into your speakers, it doesn't matter what you've got for speakers, it's just not going to sound nearly as good as what it could. I would argue that a receiver and an amp, if you decide to go that route, are more important than even the speakers. The RTI A7s really came alive when I first got the Marantz receiver, and then second, I put some power to them. The system easily sounded 5 or 6 times as good just by doing that. And that's not a good speaker. I mean, it's whatever. It's okay, I guess, but there's much better speakers you can get or build for way less money than that are going to sound a million times better, provided that you've got a good receiver powering them or a good amp powering them. So let's power that thing up and we'll take a look at the Marantz receiver, because that's the one I'm going to talk about in this video. Now, I really wish over the years, as I had set this stuff all up, I had taken and recorded different audio samples so that you guys could hear the difference between all of them. Unfortunately, that's not the case. As far as the receiver goes, I've learned a whole plethora of hard lessons there, otherwise known as how to waste money buying receivers until you find one that you like. Now, anytime you're watching any audio file or any home theater guru guy or whatever the case is, look at the receivers in the background. I'm betting you 9 times out of 10 you're going to see a Marantz there. Now, for home theater listening, this is just the way to go, period. There is going to be better stuff out there, but budget-wise, get a Marantz receiver. You're not going to regret it. I have tried so many other brand names and spent so much or wasted so much money on kits and receivers, whatever. They're just anything else. I've done my share. I've probably gone through, this is probably a receiver, I don't know, like 12 or 13, and I've listened to a ton in different stores. If it comes out of a big box, chances are it's already junk. Unless they sell Marantz now, I don't know. Anyway, just go with a Marantz receiver. Whether you decide to go with a preamp and then put an amplifier onto it, or you just get a Marantz receiver to power your speakers, you're not going to go wrong. Like even a Marantz, you stick that with, I don't know, maybe a Crown amp. I haven't tried Crown amps, so I can't speak to that, but they do get really positive reviews for what they do. Maybe that's something that I should do on this channel. Let me know if you want to see kind of what a Crown amp is like versus the Rotel as far as listening to music goes through the Marantz. Anyway, that's a different rant. The Marantz that I have right now, it's got RCA outputs as well as speaker outputs, but no balanced or XLR outs. So if I were starting from scratch, I would have a Marantz that had balanced or XLR outputs onto whatever the amplifier that I'd choose to go with. That's what I would do right now. But if you're starting out, just go Marantz receiver. Anyway, let's take a look at the menu and stuff on it. So here you've got your basic Marantz menu. You've got your audio, video, input, speakers. It's all the stuff that you normally do in a receiver setup. A couple of things that are noteworthy. If you go into speakers at some point in time, once you have your speakers all set up, and I'll see if I can find it here for you quickly, speaker config. Yeah, here you go. If you do have large towers, make sure that you do set this up as large. If you have nice quality big speakers, they will sound like junk if this is on small. So just a noteworthy thing on the setup. So what do I consider large? It should detect this automatically when you do the setup, but anything that's like a 3-way speaker. So if you got 3 speakers in your tower or more, set it to large. and I think you should be pretty golden there. You can try it too with setting it to large and small. That's also might sound better too if you've got a nice subwoofer on your system. So it's worth a listen. Figure out what you like the best. But yeah, definitely make sure you check the large, small on your speaker setup. It just determines your crossover point. That's what you're setting up there. So the next must that you've got to do if you set this thing up is go into your Odyssey setup, and this, you don't have to do this the hard way. If you just take and plug in the microphone that came with the Marantz receiver, it's going to already do everything. Like, it'll pop this menu up for you. You just got to answer the questions and place the microphone in the different setup. I'll leave a link up at the top here, how to configure your speakers using that microphone. Literally, those two things, after you got the Marantz receiver and you plug it in, you set all your outputs and inputs up, you're good to go. Like, you can tinker with the rest of it, and I mean, you're more than welcome to tinker with it, and I recommend you do, but you're already going to get like 90% of the sound from your Marantz receiver just doing that. So easy setup. The sound calibration, that's a big deal to me. Setting your crossover points for the sub and setting the right signals to the sub, all really quick and easy, and that's going to give you a bulk of your quality signal to your speakers, and then you're golden. I guess it is kind of worth talking about as well. If you do have the budget for a Marantz receiver, which one do you buy? Now, this is going to depend a lot on the wattage of the system that you're kind of after. Just, you do need to decide if you're going to go with a pre-out, otherwise known as building an amplifier on later on. If you're going to do that, then it doesn't matter a whole heck of a lot, because the receiver then is just working with the signal. It's not really doing much else. If you're not going to go that route, or you don't think you're going to go that route, and this is not stonewalling yourself either, the option is still out there later, get the highest wattage that you can afford. Don't worry too much about channels, features, etc. Yes, that stuff is all great and nice, but power to your speakers is going to be one of your biggest concerns, depending on which speakers that you have. You want to at least feed them some kind of power, some kind of decent quality power, because it's just going to make things a lot nicer. Now, if you're choosing, or if you're getting an amp anyway, then go for features, get the amp, and then size the amp to your speakers. Go that route if you can, if you already know you're getting an amplifier anyway. Now, arguably, and this is what I'm curious about trying out, is if I go with a Marantz, like, this isn't a high-end Marantz. I ended up getting this thing for a steal. Somebody paid the deposit on this thing and just let it sit in the store, and the guy was sick of hanging on to it, so I think I got that thing for like half price, actually. So I got it for a steal. But I'm thinking you might be better off going with a Marantz receiver that's not with the pre-outs or doesn't have the balanced XLRs, because they're probably in the neighborhood of $3,000 to $4,000. And just going with a generic $1,000 Marantz and putting a Crown amp on it might be a great budget option. So something I'm thinking I might be trying out. Anyway, that's enough talk about receivers. I hope you guys found this beneficial. Next up on the channel, I'm going to be talking about the Rotel RA 1572 is the model number on that puppy. If you're just looking for two speakers, like a stereo setup, what a beauty. I've heard it with several different speaker setups inside the store where I picked it up. It is a little bit more pricey than just something generic. But wow did it make the RTI A7s come alive. That'll be next up on the channel. And as far as speaker building, because some of you are probably thinking, dude, did you just quit building speakers? I did not, and I'm not putting you guys off or any of that, but I do put a lot of thought into what I should be doing with my setup, because I've spent so much cash or wasted so much cash on this. I put a lot more thought into it now before I buy something or get something. So AMT makes an ESS, what's it called again? Audio wave tweeter. Anyway, they've approached me, but they haven't got back to me after they initially approached me about testing their tweeter or the ribbon tweeter, or it's a wave tweeter, whatever. I forget all the specs on it. Anyway, I was thinking of building another speaker based on that platform. If that doesn't happen, then it's going to be the ZAF Audio 12.4. I'm really curious about that kit because it's just a lot of the components that I've thought I'd like to go with next are in that kit. And why not try a kit from a guy that actually knows way more about this than I do? So, haven't forgot about you guys, the speaker guys that are subbed here because they want to see me build speakers. Something is coming. I just don't know. I have not made up my mind. I don't want to throw cash out the door. So stay tuned for that in the future.